Hey everybody, welcome to another Spoilercast. As always, I am joined by Shay.
Hey guys.
And this time we're going to be talking about I Am Setsuna.
I Am Setsuna.
It hasn't been a year yet, but it has been not even half a year yet. But it has been a long time since July when it launched. I beat it last fall. I can't remember when, but let's say November-ish. And Shay just beat it now. So
Yep.
I'm a little hazy on everything I felt, but I think as you talk or remind me of stuff, then I'll be like, oh yeah. So when I first saw this game, and they first announced Square Enix at like E3 2015, I think.
Oh God.
They announced they're making a new studio called Tokyo RPG Factory, and they showed this like image, and then more and more it was just like, oh, it looks like they're making a sequel to Chrono Trigger, like a spiritual successor.
Yeah.
And then more and more I was like, yeah, that looks exactly it. And then, after it came out, it was like only digital. And I was like, I don't know if I just want to play a digital game, and I might not like it, even though it looks good. Reviews seem to be fair, but a lot of people were saying that it's super depressing, so I'm like, how depressing can it be? So I waited, and eventually it went on like a half-off sale, so I bought it for, I don't know, like $25 or something like that. Did you buy this right away, or when did you buy it?
I waited like a month out, or I waited a couple months after its release.
Anyway, so this conversation is going to be, obviously, as the title implies, spoilercast. When we talk about everything, nothing is off limits. So,
Spoilercast, people.
prepare yourselves for that. Now, not like our last one, I think I'm going to be more excited in talking about, because genuinely there are some things that I did not like in this game, but
Right.
mostly I still have very, very good, strong feelings about I Am Setsuna. And it was short, which was nice, and I didn't have to play 60 hours by the end. I was like, God damn it, when was this thing going to end?
Right.
So yeah, when I started playing it, I kind of thought it was a mixture of Chrono Trigger with the art and the combat mixed with like the story of Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, Chrono Trigger is definitely an influence on this game. Definitely in the gameplay. Give or take with the story. Some parts more than others.
Not really the story. It's very specific, like little nods that they go through,
Yeah.
and more towards the end, it's like, wow, this is Chrono Trigger, and then another thing happens, like this is Chrono Trigger. Besides, like the combat with like the combination techniques and whatnot, and like running into enemies on the field and jumping right into combat. Eterna has like a really cute like frog sweatshirt. And I'm like, oh, that's like a little nice nod to Frog or Glenn, however you want to say it. That was great. And then, of course, at the very end... Oh, first of all, this fetus is like...
Could come Fides.
Or Fides. Yeah, Fides is better than Fides. Okay, so Fides is like trying to hinder your journey. He's a scythe wielder, so I'm like, there's like a little bit of a nod there with the scythe being the bad guy or whatever.
Right.
And then eventually he turns and you fight him in his throne room, just like Magus.
It
and
even has the torches light up the same way.
Yeah, and then he becomes a party member, and he has incredible techniques too. So I thought that was like a nice little nod.
Yeah.
Neater was Orin to me, but like in a green costume.
Right? Palette swap Orin.
That's actually one of the things that I did not like about the game was the monsters were awful. Okay, I understand that you can only program so many monsters into a game. And I will give developers some leniency in terms of just palette swapping some monsters in there. But I think there was like, 12 monsters in the game, and there was like 3 or 4 different versions of them.
Oh, there's definitely... Yeah, I want to say there's 4 versions of every monster.
It's insane. And also those weird bomb creatures that there's really no way to beat them before they explode. It's just... maddening. It was
frustrating.
It just made things go a lot longer.
Same with those giant dinosaurs that cast meteor when they die.
Yep, that too. There's definitely like a lot of monsters towards the end that are like, wow, this game got really hard. Overall, I think it actually is a pretty hard game. Like when you get to a boss, that boss can be pretty...
Oh yeah, if you think you can just nilly-willy walk into a boss fight and it's gonna be a virtual cakewalk, no, think again, my friends.
You gotta...
You better have a fucking strategy.
Yeah. And, I kind of, for the beginning, I had my team. Obviously, it had to be Eterna and Setsuna and Ender. But
Yeah.
once you got... the next person would be
Neither.
right? Yeah, so I swapped out Eterna with Neater because I'm like, I should have Setsuna in the party. And then as things went on, I'm like, Setsuna kind of sucks.
She's a pretty decent healer, but that's virtually it. Until she gets Luminaire.
Endir is actually a better healer. He has that really good group spell if you can gather everybody together.
Plus he has, if you're using the fluxes, if you get his wall move fluxed, it affects everybody. And if you're using the fluxes for healing, they do more and they take status effects away.
Speaking of fluxes, Matt, we're just all over the place. One thing leads to another.
Right.
So the battle system is kind of almost overly complicated in how you have to do everything. The standard is a standard turn-based RPG like Chrono Trigger, where you get the enemies in the battlefield. We said that.
Yeah.
There's
you have the little ATB gauges.
Right. There's combinations that you can do with your partners. But unlike Chrono Trigger, where you learn your techniques, you have to go and turn in materials in order to learn character-specific spells and buffs. And then you equip them onto your character, and you have to have the right spell equipped in order to do this certain combo technique. And there's a lot of combo techniques and not a lot of room, and it's just kind of needlessly complicated and also needlessly padded with a lot of stuff. A lot of those things could have been edited into one spell or just gone at all. But yeah, there's just a lot of spells and buff things that are in place of equipment.
I want to say the development team went freaking crazy with the combat stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. The combat was fine. I enjoyed some parts of it, but I definitely could have been
well, I know I told you I was getting so frustrated at the end because a couple of the monsters I ran up against were those special ones where they're super freaking tough.
I liked how Julian was the Dragoon, but I didn't like using her at all. I didn't think any of her techniques were that good.
No, they should have just had you get the scythe wielder then. Instead of, don't even have Julian at all. She was a nice character and her story part was nice, but I didn't use her either. She just felt bland. Why would I want her when I could have any of the other people in my party?
Some of the dungeons were pretty long without save points, but I could put that against a lot of RPGs. And yeah, like you mentioned when we were doing this pregame stuff, there is no quick escape to get out of a dungeon.
No.
If you have to leave the dungeon, you have to physically go through the entire thing again. And when you leave an area and go back in, monsters repopulate. So it is maddening.
Well, even more maddening. Remember you told me where the developer island is? Where everybody that helped make the game has an island, just like in Chrono Trigger with that special dimension.
Except, even cooler with this game, but yeah.
Yeah. And then you find the guy and he's like, oh, you want monster fights to be tougher? Okay.
I don't know why you would want that, though. I would say that's your fault. He warned you.
Well, I turned it on, but I didn't leave before I turned it back off. I was like, no, who wants that?
At first, I wasn't sure about how I felt about just piano music.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it fit pretty well with the more somber tone.
Some of those songs they're so well put together.
They do a lot with the piano and some accompaniments and whatnot, and
it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. The game physically is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I said it's a combination of Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy X, and I would also venture to say it looks like a little better looking Bravely Default. It's a very watercolory look.
Yeah, I'd definitely say Bravely Default has...
I took a lot of screenshots. There are just some amazing moments and just scenery. And another thing that I thought I would get sick of was the snow. The snow and some the fall aesthetic for some of the trees and whatnot. And I think I would say I did get sick of it, especially in dungeons when the snow hindered your movement sometimes.
Yeah.
So it would have been cool if at some point you would have went to some spring area, a big reveal or something like that.
Right.
And the dungeons, there's a lot of dungeons that are very cookie cutter, especially those futuristic dungeons with the...
Oh yeah, the whatever the heck they are.
Yeah, but like in terms of like the overall like design, everything is gorgeous, and
Mm-hmm.
the snow was fine. It wasn't anything where it was like it sucks, but it was
I think it was just setting the mood
yeah.
because most
Everything is about
people,
mood in this
yeah.
game, and it is somber and there are some depressing points, but for the most
Mm-hmm.
part, everyone has a very lighthearted side to them. It's
Yeah.
not all just super super depressing,
I
and
would say I think by the end of the game, you don't have that strong, like overwhelming, depressive feel to it. Everyone has they come to their own conclusion. There's not a lot of regret. I don't know. I felt very happy by the end of it,
I'm
even
glad that they
though
stuck to their guns and it wasn't like, oh, well, you're actually not going to die after all. And it's like, no, it's sad, but
right?
it had to be done or whatever. No matter what you choose, Setsuna will die. But yeah, another thing we talked about the preliminary thing was Eterna. You compared her to Prompto, where all of a sudden she was like this like a
She had
Deus
a
Ex Machina thing, and she was like all of a
right.
sudden just like awoken, and she's like, "I am more than what you think." That was kind of out of nowhere, and it ruined her character for me. She just kind of
Well, then they revealed that you'd done the same thing hundreds of times, or an innumerable amount of times, and every time you choose not to fight the final boss.
that is a super time plot device in a lot of like time things like
Right?
actually you have done this many many times, especially in like video games. Here's some spoilers for some other video games. Bioshock Intimate. That actually is a game, but we'll talk about that right now. Bioshock Infinite did that. Oh no, an anime. Future Diary. That is basically that kind of not infinite, but
I was gonna
time.
say the Sci-Fi Channel show Magicians. That's the plot.
We ruined a lot of stuff for you.
But yeah, it she pulled a complete 360, and it felt like, oh, well, you knew all this shit was gonna happen. You could have helped us a little more than you did.
Yeah, and also
They said the difference between this time and every time before that was Neater, the main character, or Ender, sorry, because his
now that a character
appearance,
is controlling him.
right? Because his appearance was completely different. They said from when they met him the first time.
One person that we haven't talked about at all yet is Kerr.
I
I
liked him.
I was like, I don't know, like a mage. Like I get it. He's like a weird animal mage thingy.
Yeah,
And then I was like, he got some really powerful spells. I'm like, okay, this guy's pretty good.
right. Did you get Lucas Hammer?
Yes, I like. That's another thing. I mean,
Oh,
there's
there's
nods
so
and
many
nods upon
nods.
nods to Chrono Trigger, and at some point it's just like, well, why didn't they just make Chrono Trigger 2?
Right,
Yeah, they could have, but if they called this Chrono Trigger 2 and it was exactly this, then people would be pissed. Like that wasn't fucking Chrono Trigger. I
right.
mean, it
Where's
was.
Lavos?
Yeah, it was Chrono. I mean, it was kind of like Chrono Trigger, but fuck
Well,
it.
they would have panned it as hard as people panned Chrono Cross.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, Final Fantasy is always different, so I guess if they would have called it Chrono Break was the one that wasn't not even development, but like trademarked for a while. So if they would
Hmm.
call it Chrono something, understandable, because
Right.
they could have made some connections and whatnot. But I'm actually glad that they made a new game. I just want them to make more of these, and I'm really sad that
Right.
this came out in Vita in Japan. And I think this would have looked gorgeous on the Vita. And I really wish that we could have
Yeah.
got it as well. And because it's just like a nice little small RPG that
Mm-hmm.
was cool on the console, but I think was a better like fit for like a handheld, just like Bravely Default and
Yeah.
other stuff. But yeah, there's definitely some problems with it. There's no escaping from dungeons, and there was some padding in there, and the battle stuff was a little overly complicated. But
Mm-hmm.
overall, I think all the characters are pretty good. The story is a nice couple twist here and there. It
Mm-hmm.
is a journey, and that's great. There's an airship, that's pretty cool too, in a world that we
Yeah.
don't really get that many airships.
Right.
Music was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Looks gorgeous. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else. At first, I was kind of like disappointed that Ender was a sound protagonist, but
Yeah.
it's that I could go on and on about sound protagonists. At
It's a
some
whole
point, you just gotta like give it up.
it's a whole subgenre.
Yeah,
It's a whole JRPG
like
niche. You know what's
oh,
funny? They're really surprised by how courteous you can be by the end of the game. Like I made some really weird choices for dialogue because I was like, this is weird, let's pick this.
Yeah, it's just like I said, there's actually a lot of fun things in it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice, you know.
Even though it's dealing with some really heavy topic about, sacrifice and doing what's right and all that, they play it off very light. Like,
They didn't go full goth for this one.
right. And
They didn't go fucking Advent Children for this thing, where everything is just so dire and oh, the children and oh, the mother.
oh, mother, we have to see her again.
Prompto!
Oh,
I was gonna throw Prompto in there. You know, I would be all in if Ender turned out to be, someone actually from the past or the future if his, like, mask fell off or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or Eterna being like, actually, I was something, but she turned out to be, like, something huge and massive that you would not guess. There was no, like, hints at what her... Except for her having, like, powers like, whoa, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
There was, like, no payoff to her being, like, some time mage.
Right, and you said it best. She was a Deus Ex Machina. She was a plot device, ultimately.
Yeah. Or, there's, like, some nice little, like, reveals, like Nidir being the actual father of Setsuna.
Frick.
That was, like, a good reveal.
I loved that, because it was like, oh, man, that's sweet, and... He stayed in that one village just to make sure monsters couldn't get past.
Any closing thoughts?
If you've been on the fence about this game, give it a try. Or wait till it's on sale again. I'm sure it's gonna be on sale.
I would add on to that, just know that it's not as depressing as maybe some other people have said it is. We say it's a lot like Chrono Trigger, but be prepared, it's not Chrono Trigger. Don't expect yourself to have another one of those. For Tokyo RPG Factory, do you want them to make 2, or do you want them to make a new game?
God, either way, I think if this is their debut game, I'd love to see what they come up with next.
I Am Prompto. I'd escort him to his death, and I would finish that game so fast.
I just want to know how he went from Fat Prompto to Skinny Prompto. I don't believe that anime.
That technically I Am could be the just like Tales of. This could be the I Am series.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Every game they touch on like an old Japanese folklore, but they give it a new spin, a new fantasy spin.
I definitely don't want another journey after journey after journey. That would get old.
Right. They could do I Am Momotaro, and you could be Momotaro.
Or it could do a Guardians of the Galaxy thing, and the next one is We Are Setsuna.
Oh man. Because the time slip, Setsuna didn't die. She actually fell back into time, and she's been collecting all the sacrifices.
And the next one is They Are Setsuna.
We are Setsuna. They are Setsuna. Oh my god.
I bet if, by some random chance, if some Square Enix employee, or specifically some Tokyo RPG Factory, has a list of documents of all the names we just said, like, shit, they know!
They know!
They know!
Burn everything! Burn everything!
Yeah. And the next day a news thing comes out. Looks like there was a fire at Tokyo RPG Factory. Everything burned to the ground. No everyone's okay.
But the company has to foreclose. I think what anyone should take away from this is that if you're an avid lover of video games, specifically older styled video games, you can really feel that everyone involved in this really loved what they were doing.
I'm just kind of sad that whenever a game is digital only, especially from a bigger company, so that it makes it like, I think it's $50, I believe. Whenever a game is that much and only digital, it's harder to sell, I feel, to people, because then it's like, why didn't they put it in the store? What does that really mean?
I hope that this doesn't become a trend that now we're only going to get digital games.
Oh, no, definitely not. It's a smaller game. I understand why it's a smaller game like this would be only on there, but at the same time, the price, I think, would scare people away. So I'm sad that people couldn't go into a store and see I Am Setsuna and be like, this looks like Chrono Trigger, and bring it home and be like kind of surprised. And I just like having games available to everyone, and I'm glad that this game is coming out for the Nintendo Switch. So that's really cool for Nintendo fans, especially because if they've been waiting for Chrono Trigger, it is a Nintendo thing as it began. So I think we've covered everything that we need to cover. Thank you for joining me, Shay. Thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you on the next Spoilercast.
See you guys.
Did you know that was a Reaction Examiner video? If you liked it, you should subscribe to me to keep up with everything that I'm doing. Also, if you have some other interests, like sex for example, check out Chum Ups, which is a comedy sex podcast thing wherein my best friend and I check out the weird and abnormal and the erotic. And of course, you should support me on Patreon because, hey, I want to make the channel better and I want your help to do so. Plus, if you want to check out my writing, check out Game Jerk, where I have archives and new stuff for all projects, okay? You can find all the stuff and more in the description with the links below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time.